It was the night before UFC 247 here in Houston, Texas. Everyone made weight, but there was a little wrench thrown into the plans. We shall talk about that today on our little wrap-up show that we like to do. This has become a little staple over at youtube.com/ESPN MMA. Speaking of staples, Marc Raimondi is here. And so is Brett Okamoto. I don't know why they said, speaking of staples. I was trying to continue the jokes, but staples, no?
Scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point.
How are you, Mark?
That was rough.
You got to start letting them come naturally.
Can we just say Marc Raimondi's shirt today?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing. A Razor Ramon shirt. You should wear that for a Jorge Masvidal fight, though.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying
to say that Jorge Masvidal stole Razor Ramon's swag.
I'm just saying
He's Miami.
Cuban, Miami. It's apropos.
I don't know who Razor Ramon is. I have no idea what this is.
You don't know who
You're
Razor
kidding.
Literally
Ramon
no.
is?
This is shocking.
Idea.
Oh, my God.
No idea. Never heard of Scott Hall.
I mean, as I look at the shirt, they look vaguely familiar, but
Toothpick.
By the way, it's the same person.
Oh, it's the same guy.
Yes.
Oh, man. This is off the rails. What a show.
Oh, my God.
Cut it down. Cut it down. Start it over.
Wow. You've just exposed yourself. I appreciate you doing that in front of the world and not asking us beforehand. So there you have it. Staple, Razor Ramon. Let's talk fights. John Jones made weight. Dominick Reyes made weight. Although Dominick Reyes showed up with 17 or so minutes to spare as far as the official weigh-ins are concerned this morning. His team says nothing to worry about. It was all good. What do you think about how both of them looked today on the scale?
But John Jones looked fantastic. Came in at 204, looked healthy, looked excited, looked fresh. He was wearing his camo military hat. I think it seemed like he had a great weight cut. He said, 20 minutes in the steam room, that's all he needed to cut weight.
Yeah. You know, the team has said, no problems. Dominick's fine. We're all good. But the guy that I saw standing up on the scale didn't look great. I mean, we've seen much worse. We've seen much, much worse. But, you and I were talking about it all morning on the show. I wasn't worried about him necessarily missing weight, but it was odd that he would come in that late for the title fight, a guy who hasn't had trouble missing weight before, and then get up there. And, you could hear a little bit of relief and an explosion of people from the crowd, who may have had a better inkling of what was going on. They seemed very happy that he had made weight. And he gave a smile, but it was not this triumphant, I'm ready to go smile. He did look like, and of course we're all trying to read into this.
Sure.
But he didn't look like a guy who had an easy cut, I'll say that.
He also kind of shook his head, right, after they announced his weight. Almost in relief, right?
Like a relief.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
how I read it. Done with. So he makes weight, all good. The face-off was fun. Later in the afternoon here at the Toyota Center, Valentina Shevchenko made weight as well. So did Caitlin Chukagian. Everyone actually officially made weight. But at around 4 local time, we started to get word that the Trevin Giles versus Antonio Arroyo fight was potentially off, and it was because of Antonio Arroyo not feeling well. And then we started to get word that James Krause, who is here as a cornerman, as a coach, had thrown his name into the hat to step in on essentially 24 hours notice, not scheduled to compete. This isn't Joe Soto and TJ Dillashaw. This guy was here as a cornerman and said, you know what? Yeah, I'll fight Trevin Giles on 24 hours notice at 185 when I typically fight at 170 or 155. Went through some stuff, checked his weight, all good. And as of right this moment, that fight is on. He showed up at the official weigh-ins, weighed in, made weight, and now he's fighting Trevin Giles. Guys, I can't remember a situation like this. Like, we've seen guys, like I said, Joe Soto step up, but he was scheduled to compete. We've seen Anderson Silva say, I'll fight DC, but that was 2-3 days before. Never something like this, right?
I do want to say that, and I don't want to throw cold water on James Krause because it is
Here we
an
go.
extremely unprecedented thing, but it's not official yet. The fight is not official yet. As of right this moment, the fight is not official. James Krause is in the process of having his medicals sent over to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. I spoke with Texas Combative Sports head Greg Alvarez just seconds before we did this, and he said around 9 p.m. tonight, local time in Houston, is when a decision will be made officially on James Krause's whether he can compete or not tomorrow. So it's not done yet. I mean, I am. If I were a betting man, Ariel, I would say he's probably going to fight. But they have to go through all the. They have to cross their T's and dot their I's and what.
Brett is a betting man. What do you think of this situation?
I mean, I think he'll fight. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing to predict. You don't know what his medicals are going to show. But
how incredible is this? This guy here as a coach steps up.
You know what, man? It fits in with James Krause, though. I forget exactly what season of The Ultimate Fighter he was on, but I remember talking to him out in Vegas, and it was interesting because that season, people were the contestants were coming in. They're like, wait a second, James Krause is on this? This guy has like a lot of fights. This guy is a veteran, and The Ultimate Fighter, it's for younger guys who are trying to get into the UFC. He already was in the UFC when he went on that show, but he was thinking about switching weight classes. I think he has confidence in his ability to take a short-notice fight because he has such a fight IQ. I mean, actually, we were just talking about it earlier, what a great coach he is. So he puts that mind to use, and he doesn't really – he's one of those guys you hear from time to time, I don't care about weight. I'll fight at 155, 170, in this case, all the way up to 185. And I mean, it's incredible, but it fits into James Krause's brand. He's been doing this type of stuff throughout his career.
Yeah, and the James Krause. What a week for Kansas City sports. Chiefs win the Super Bowl, and now their own guy steps up in a somewhat unprecedented move to fight against a local guy in Trevin Giles. And so we hope, by the way, that Antonio Arroyo is okay. Dana White said at the press conference before the ceremonial face-offs that he had experienced some cramping. He wasn't feeling well, and so we hope that he's okay. But good on James Krause for stepping up on such short notice, and we also hope that his medicals get cleared as well so that this fight can actually happen. All of a sudden, the prelims a lot more interesting. Now, let's talk about the press conference that happened today. They've been doing this as of late. You have a card, you do the press conference for the next card. I like this on Friday. It gives fans a reason to come out to the ceremonials, even though the intrigue of the face-offs not quite what it was now that they do the morning weigh-ins. Israel Adesanya, Yoel Romero, UFC 248. And Mark, you actually tried to ask Izzy a question about John Jones. A, what did you want to ask? And B, what did he say to you as you were asking?
Yeah, I mean, I think the John Jones-Israel Adesanya thing is a legitimate question, right, leading into his fight against Romero and also John Jones. And they've both been talking a lot about each other, so I figured I would ask Adesanya. He said he wants to do the fight, and he said maybe a minute before I asked him about it that he wants to fight Jones at the new Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas in 2021. So what I wanted to ask was, okay, that is your goal. That's what you're aiming for. How do you get there? What do? You beat Romero, then what? Then what happens? It's still a year away, maybe more. That's what I wanted to ask, but I got shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah, you triggered him somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did it.
Well, he was #triggered?
I thought
possibly.
That's what I saw, yeah.
And also interesting to note, he's not sticking around for the fight, which would have been fun. Him in attendance for
I was
the John
shocked
Jones
by
fight.
that.
Yeah. A little disappointing.
Like, hey, where are you sitting? Are you going to stand up at the end of the fight? Are you going? I mean, I know you probably aren't going to start yelling, but are you just going to make yourself known? And he's like, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be on a plane. I'm going to be back in New Zealand.
Respect to him for coming all the way from New Zealand to do this, and now going back a month or so out from the fight. If you're going to
fly all the way out, though, stick around for the fight. Yeah, find a gym, do some training here, but stick around for the fight.
You don't want to give him that respect.
I even told him. I was like, really? You're gonna go? Why not stay? This is where the building begins. These shots of you and he's not interested.
Now, what did you think of the face-off / dance-off afterwards?
Hey, Yoel Romero, that's a pretty good back handspring for a guy who's in his 40s. And I asked him why he did that, and he said, God is unpredictable. He wants life to be unpredictable, so I'm going to be unpredictable. You don't know what's coming from me. I mean, hey, Yoel Romero is the happiest guy in the room right now because no one thought he was going to get this opportunity. In fact, like, where was he going? I mean, he's lost 3 of his last 4, but they've all been very close, right? He lost to Robert Whittaker twice, Paulo Costa. A lot of people thought he won that fight, and so now you're looking at a guy. What is he going to do? Is he going to go to 205? Is he going to try and stick around 185? I think he was in no man's land, and now all of a sudden, because Israel Adesanya wants to fight him, which I do think is a very, very real narrative. Sometimes you get these narratives, and you hear part of it from Dana White, you hear part of it from the fans. You're not sure exactly what to believe. I truly do believe that this fight is about Israel Adesanya recognizing that Yoel Romero is a guy that's tough. I asked him today. It seems like this is a fight for the hardcore fans because the casual fans, they're going to look at this fight and be like, well, this guy's lost 3 of his last 4. I mean, you should beat this guy. You're the new flavor, right? But the hardcore fans, the people who cover the sport, know how tough Romero is, and I think that's part of the reason why Adesanya's doing it. He says he fights for himself, which I believe. He's fighting for his own legacy in his own mind, but I also think he likes the idea that, hey, the people who know what they're talking about, they understand what I'm doing here, and they're going to hold him in a high light for it.
Izzy is just so much fun in these settings. Again, that's why I want to see him and Jones square off, but he just does such a great job.
And there's another exchange when Romero was asked about weight.
Yeah.
And Romero said, I've never had problems with weight. And Adesanya was like, what are you talking about? You missed weight like twice.
Yeah.
And Romero's like, I've never had a problem with weight. I've been cutting weight since 1897. And Izzy was like, what?
Well, his point is that when he missed weight in Australia, he didn't have the proper amount of time.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And then the second time, the commission
cut
shut him down.
off.
So in his mind, he has not missed weight, even though the records show he has missed weight.
Romero's mind. Quite the thing.
Yes.
So that is still to come. That is March 7th. Zhang Weili and Joanna Jędrzejczyk weren't here. The Zhang story continues to develop. She's now in Abu Dhabi. UFC President Dana White said nothing to worry about as far as the coronavirus is concerned. We'll see how that plays out. We should know in the coming weeks if she's all good. Has to be quarantined for 14 days. I mean, it's quite the situation, but they seem confident that that fight will remain. Now, before we go, time for some predictions. Your favorite part.
Here we go.
Let's start with Valentina Shevchenko and Katlyn Chookagian. Last I checked, Shevchenko minus 1,200. Can Chookagian do what Matt Serra did in this building 13 years ago?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm taking
thanks.
Shevchenko.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Finish?
Decision.
Decision.
I mean, I think we could play this fight over 1,000 times, and I'm not sure that Katlyn Chookagian could win. And that's not a knock on Chookagian because she has established herself as a number 2 in this division. Clearly, I think that is her spot. That just shows how good Valentina Shevchenko is. I don't see her losing to any of these women, and in particular, Katlyn, just what she does and how she wins her fights, it just doesn't translate, I think, to a 5-round fight against Valentina Shevchenko. So I think Shevchenko will win it pretty much however she wants. I could see it being a little bit of a slow fight. I'll go with a decision, but however it goes, I see a Valentina win.
Okay, and then the main event. Jon Jones looking to win his 14th UFC title fight. That would be a record. Looking to extend his unbeaten streak to 18, also a record against Dominick Reyes. Can Dominick Reyes do what Matt Serra did in this building 13 years ago, Mark?
I'm going to take Jon Jones.
Finish?
Going chalk.
Long pause, though.
Yeah.
Long pause. Were you wavering? You on the fence, or you just wanted to be dramatic?
It's dramatic.
Yes, dramatic.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Finish or decision? That may be the.
I'm gonna say a decision.
Okay.
I think Reyes does hang in and does well, and maybe wins a round, maybe even 2.
Okay.
No, not going to happen. We're going to see a finish by Jon Jones. I think it's going to be a submission. He hasn't gotten a submission since he was elevated to a purple belt last year. I think that's maybe something that he wants to put that feather in his cap. I think that Volkan Oezdemir was able to get Dominick Reyes down. He wasn't able to keep him down, but he got him down. And Volkan Oezdemir has only been wrestling for about 4 years. I think Jon Jones gets this fight to the ground at some point, and he uses that purple belt and finishes him off.
All right. The time for talking almost over. UFC 247 going down in this building in a couple hours' time at this point. Saturday night here in Houston, Toyota Center. Jon Jones, Reyes, Chookagian, Shevchenko, and 10 other fights. We are looking forward to them very much. Thank you very much for watching our coverage up until this point. We'll be back on Saturday night after the fights, and hopefully Mark will be joining us. This time, don't go scurrying off doing your other stuff, all right?
Can't make any promises.
All right. Well, until then, we shall find out if he does, in fact, join us. We are out of time. For Mark, Brett, I'm Ariel. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the fights. We'll talk to you after them. Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.